So this is Silver Age story time, and today's story is from Superman 122, July 1958, with story by Otto Binder and art by Wayne Boring. It says, at an army camp, Soldier Jones was just a dog face like all the others until the day a freakish phenomenon made him a super GI, equipped with every one of Superman's amazing powers. Then, from barracks to barracks, the news of the Soldier of Steel spread like wildfire, and the army is quick to salute Jones as the Super Sergeant. And there's Superman. He says, "Great guns, Jones is the only GI in the army who could jump 2 miles down without a parachute. He's as invulnerable as I am." So one day, this Jones discovers that he has Superman's powers. So he jumps out of bed, accidentally flies up into the ceiling, and later on, he's able to take a super hot shower because he's invulnerable. He's able to heat his cereal with his X-ray vision. This was back when this was before Superman. I mean, it wasn't called his heat vision. It was just called his X-ray vision that he would turn up and cause it to uh, heat things up. So we get a little explanation of how this soldier became superpowered, and Superman reflects back to testing a device. This powerful new helmet radio is supposed to transmit signals for 1,000 miles. I'll try it out flying far away from Metropolis Lab where they're tuning in, and then a errant lightning strikes him, and then this device manages to transmit his powers to this Sergeant Jones. And then Superman says, that GI doesn't know that invisible super energy is pouring into him. By tomorrow, when his muscles respond, he'll have carbon copy superpowers. I don't know how Superman knows all that stuff, but I guess he's got super intellect. But boy, this is called plot convenience. Doesn't matter how ludicrous it is, they're gonna push this plot forward. So Super Jones is unfamiliar with his powers, so he's doing some rather silly stuff. For instance, when he's told to take out the garbage, he tosses it into the air all the way to the dump, but nearly hits Jimmy Olsen in his flying newsroom. And so Superman is watching him do these various things that could get people injured or killed. And Jimmy Olsen decides to expose him to some kryptonite just to weaken him and get him under control. And Superman says, "No, don't do that. I don't want Jones to be robbed of his superpowers. Close that." So again, I'm not sure how Superman knows that in this case, kryptonite would rob him of his powers, unlike Superman, who is merely weakened. And he even tosses the kryptonite into the ocean. And then we get a little da where Superman says, "I was afraid those two civilians might overhear my plans. If I told Jimmy they're foreign spies posing as PX clerks." So still trying to figure out why Superman is not explaining to people. And then Perry White sends him on assignment. It says, "The news about a super soldier at Camp Metropolis is terrific, Clark. I've arranged with the Pentagon for you to be stationed as a temporary GI." Again, this is all out of plot convenience. That's ridiculous. Why would they have a reporter pose as, or not even posing? They know he's a reporter, but for whatever reason, and it's also that this GI can have the strength of Superman, as Clark Kent has to pretend that he is weak. So he's super grip. Oops, forgot about my super grip. So and Clark Kent has to pretend he's weak. And we have more demonstrations of his superpowers, and Clark there has to pretend he's very slow, even though he would have equal powers. We again see the spies. "Now my troubles will begin if the super sergeant mishandles his powers again. But it's necessary for my plan to foil these two spies. Psst, we must observe that super soldier and report to our ruler." So we get just more silliness as the super soldier uh, is digging a trench or a foxhole, which I don't know. Did they do that in the 1950s? I don't know that they were still digging foxholes, but these test, what are they? They're just doing mock maneuvers, which looks like the real rounds going off, but whatever. So again, demonstrating his superpowers, and Superman is observing the spies. Bah, don't be alarmed by that super sergeant. He is only Superman in disguise. But they discover that no, he's not Superman, because we now see the two of them at the same time. So the super sergeant is not Superman. Then Superman, by some secret method, can transfer his powers to American soldiers. We must report this to headquarters. So Superman lets them go so they can report to headquarters that Superman can transmit his powers. Again, I don't know how they came to this conclusion, this tremendous leap that Superman is able to transmit his powers. But that is Superman's plan. He wanted all of this stuff to happen so that he could give disinformation to these two spies. And then Superman exposes him to kryptonite, and it robs him of his powers. Again, I don't know how he knew that it would do that. And then at the FBI, they say, "Great work, Superman. You reported those spies yesterday, but we didn't arrest them. They're more valuable to us free than in jail." And so they transmit false information inadvertently, that Superman can now transmit his powers, which is useless information because they will never see that occur again. And then poor Super Sergeant says, "I lost my powers and have to do KP the old way. You'll never know what fun it is to have superpowers, Kent." And Clark Kent thinks that's what he thinks. Boy, this is a silly story with a ton of plot convenience, and a whole lot of people making inferences and assumptions that seem unlikely. But anyway, that is The Super Sergeant, written by Otto Binder from July 1958.